Hello and welcome to the winners interviews of this year's Inside Market Data and Inside Reference Data Awards. My name is Victor Anderson and I'm happy to have on the line with me today Stephan Wolf, who is CEO of the Global Legal Entity Identifier Foundation, or GLEIF, and Uwe Meyer, who is Executive Director of the Association of National Numbering Agencies, or ANNA. We refer to the two organizations as GLEIF and ANNA during the course of this conversation. Now, the reason why we have both Stephan and Uwe on the same call is because the two organizations they represent jointly won the Best Reference Data Newcomer Vendor or Product category in this year's Inside Market Data and Inside Reference Data Awards, thanks to the service they launched linking ISINs and LEIs. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Congratulations on your awards. What I'd like to do is just before we go into the interview is just Stephan and Uwe, would you just like to say hi very briefly and explain to today's listeners exactly where you are based right now? So firstly to Stephan, sorry.
Thank you, Victor, and welcome everyone from my side as well. My name is Stephan Wolf. I'm the CEO from the very first days of the GLEIF establishment in 2014. As you know, the global LEI system was established in the aftermath of the financial crisis, but has evolved since then quite significantly. GLEIF is an organization founded and domiciled in Switzerland, but we have people working from all kinds of places in the world. We are a pretty virtual organization. Personally, I work from Germany, but that's just a coincidence.
Good. Okay, thank you. And to Uwe Meyer?
Yes, my name is Uwe Meyer. I'm also very pleased to be on the interview today, and I'm the Executive Director of ANNA, the Association of National Numbering Agencies, since its foundation in 1992. ANNA is the organization of around 116 national numbering agencies covering more than 200 jurisdictions, and we are mainly responsible for allocation of the ISINs, the financial instrument short name, and the classification of financial instruments. So I'm personally also located in Frankfurt, but the legal domicile of ANNA is Belgium, and we have the entities around the whole world.
Good. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for that. Right, let's get on to the reason why we are on the call today, and that is that the two organizations won the Best Reference Data Newcomer Vendor or Product category in this year's IMD and IRD Awards. My first question, and Stephan, I'm going to put this to you initially, is so how did the ANNA-GLEIF alliance come about? Was it a case of demand coming from the industry for greater granularity around capital markets firms' risk exposures, and then ANNA and GLEIF kind of responding to that demand? Or was it a case of identifying a means of addressing an ongoing industry-wide problem in the wake of the global financial crisis back in 2008? Stephan?
Clearly the latter. In my previous life, I've been responsible for technology for a very large data vendor, and there I learned the hard way how difficult it is, to map data sets coming from multiple sources and things like that. So it was very clear that the LEI, if it really wants to become relevant in the industry, it must be mapped to other identification systems. In this case, the issuer-to-issue relationship was always, top on the list. And then sometimes it's pure luck. Sometimes you need people who drive initiative. Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, it was so funny that the deputy chair of ANNA was a previous customer of mine. So we knew each other very well. So we were sitting together and we were chatting about, what the industry could need. And then we developed together the idea of a mapping that should happen as open standard in the public domain so that everybody could benefit from this. Yep. This would be, from our point of view, a huge savior and taking burden out of so many programs that companies have to run these days. Mm-hmm. So we're very happy we presented the ideas to the ANNA Global Forum in 2017, and since then we're working on it.
Good. Uwe, have you got anything to add to Stephan's comments about how and why this alliance came about?
Yeah, well, we were very pleased that Stephan approached us with that idea also to combine these two important identifiers, one for the entities and one for the financial instruments itself. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I think it was also more or less ahead of some regulatory requirements to come, that these big associations and I would say standard drivers were cooperating, and it was only logical, and we very much welcome that initiative.
Good. Uwe, I'm going to put the next question to you and talk a little bit about this initiative is now about 18 months old, give or take, since it was first initially unveiled. What has the response been like from the industry? Can you give us a kind of a sense of how capital market firms have embraced, or the extent to which they've embraced this initiative?
Well, the feedback that we have received was really extremely positive, because one of the advantages that you have with this initiative is that the numbering agencies, which are members of ANNA, these are the sources of the information that is required to have a high quality support for this initiative. They have access to the data. And the good thing is also they embraced that whole initiative voluntarily. That means it was not forced by anything and therefore anybody, and therefore I think it was very positive, and the feedback that we have received from the industry was absolutely positive.
Mm-hmm. Stephan, I'd like to ask you about the initiative in terms of the extent to which it's achieved its aims. So obviously you were one of the key architects and visionaries kind of pulling together this initiative. You must have had expectations when this was launched. So to what extent has the initiative met those expectations? And if it has, what have been the key highlights from your perspective, Stephan?
I don't think that this is such a big thing to have the idea. The implementation of it, that is the real work. The idea was clearly given to us, or we came to the idea in the times when we prepared for MiFID MiFIR for the rollout in 2017. It was very clear that from the prospectus regulation and from MiFID MiFIR, issuers must have an LEI. And today we see even more regulation, so that next year onwards, European companies must report their annual reports in machine-readable form using an LEI as an identifier, so on and so forth. So the LEI was deeply embedded by regulation into the financial markets, capital and money markets in particular.
Right.
So the missing link is the issuer to issue information. As you got to see how ISO works. These standards get developed, and then organizations get appointed to become the registration authorities, or in our case, numbering agency. But these standards are not linked together, at least not today, at the ISO level, and that's why we created the idea to create a link of the LEI to the ISIN and put it into the public domain so that everybody could benefit from it.
Yes. Okay. And Uwe, from your perspective, have there been any kind of key highlights from Anna's perspective?
Yeah, well, I think looking at the volume that we are currently already covering today, we have around 5.3 million ISINs linked to around 71,000 LEIs, and I think that's these are figures which are quite impressive. Yes. Also, if you see it on an opt-in basis, that means many NNAs with large volumes have already opted in, and we are looking forward and confident that many more will join this initiative, which is really important for the industry. Yep. So I think that is definitely one of the highlights.
Okay, good. Okay, Uwe, I'm going to put the final question to you, and I'd also like to hear from Stephan at the, once you finish commenting. But let's talk a little bit about what we can expect from the alliance going forward. What can the capital markets expect in terms of new services to be rolled out maybe over the next, let's say, 12 or so months? What's on your roadmap going forward? Uwe?
I think what is really important to mention, because Stephan also mentioned that before, is that currently the ISO 6166 standard, which is regulating the ISIN, is under review.
Yes.
And under this revision, there will be a close link prescribed in the standard itself between ISIN and LEI. That means there will be a steady growth also for NNA opting in, because they have to provide that link. And therefore, I think this is also a call for the industry to really join this initiative, because they would have access to the original sources of the data and the information.
Good. Okay. Stephan, last word to you. What's up? What can we expect over the next 12 months or so?
Hopefully a very stable and good operation. We should not forget that this hasn't been a once-off exercise. This is a continuing exercise, and we follow our continuous improvement program with that, and we're pretty pleased with that. Together with Anna, we've achieved a lot in the last, let's say, 12 to 18 months.
Yes.
Another interesting development is that we've seen industry bodies, firms, building product around this, and use this as a linchpin, for their other data assets that they aggregate from somewhere else. So we get a lot of interest in product development, which is great.
Yes.
And last but not least, it triggered another mapping idea, and we're investigating this with other partners at the moment, whether we should also provide an LEI to the MIC code as a mapping. The MIC as the market identification code for roughly 2,000 marketplaces. That would complement the picture. Then you would have the issue, and with the MIC code, you could go down to the listing level.
Right. Good. Okay, that's a great point to conclude our conversation on. So thank you to both of you for your time, to Stephan Wolf, CEO of GLEIF, and Uwe Meyer, Executive Director of ANNA. Thank you both very much indeed. Congratulations again to ANNA and GLEIF for their win in this year's Inside Market Data and Inside Reference Data Awards. Thank you also to Waters Technologies readers for listening to this call, and I look forward to catching up with all of you in the not-too-distant future. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very excited about the award, by the way.
Good. Congratulations.
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay.